Welcome to the Sunday morning start sit show on the Dynasty Rewind. I'm your host, the Birdman, Chris Lemke. You can find me on X at clemke007 _FF. We're into week 13 here. We've already had 4 matchups. We've had 3 games on Thanksgiving, then the Bears-Eagles on Friday, and now we've got 12 matchups left. 7 early games today, 3 games in the midday slot, and then our Sunday night game, which is the Broncos at the Commanders. And tomorrow evening, the Giants travel to New England to take on the Patriots. So let's get into the action. We've got some bad weather games to talk about. We've got some returning studs and whether or not we should get them in their lineups or not. But as always, as soon as you post the questions that you have for your start sit, I'm going to try and answer it as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, let's get right into the injury updates. First, to start with, we've got Bucky Irving. He is in. Baker Mayfield, his shoulder injury, he's in. Marvin Harrison is back this week for the Cardinals. He is in. Trey Benson, though, is still out, so that means it'll be Zonovan Knight and Michael Carter sharing the load for the Cardinals. At quarterback, we've got Aaron Rodgers with his wrist injury. He is going to play. C.J. Stroud is back. He will play today. He's back from his concussion. Tyler Warren has a stomach virus, but he is also going to give it a go. Now some guys who are out. Omarion Hampton is still out. He was taken off the IR, though, so that means he's likely back next week. J.J. McCarthy is out with a concussion. Drake London is out with his knee issue. David Njoku is in. Michael Mayer out. Alvin Kamara out with his knee issue. Jaden Daniels out this week, likely back next week. That means it's Marcus Mariota one more week, and that'll be tonight against the Broncos. Also for the Commanders, Terry McLaurin, he is in this week. Tomorrow night, Darius Slayton is questionable with a hammy, and Wan'Dale Robinson is questionable with an ankle injury. I expect Wan'Dale to play. I'm not sure on Darius Slayton, so be careful if you are trying or have to plug him into your lineup. Maybe go with a different option. All right. Let's get into the matchups. We'll start with the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Tampa to take on the Bucs today. Heck of a matchup for the early slate games. One of the best, if not the best, game environments of the afternoon, as Arizona has averaged over 80 plays the last couple of weeks, with Jacoby Brissett running the show there in Arizona. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Baker is in, Bucky is in. Benson is out, however, so you could possibly flex Bam Knight or Michael Carter if necessary. But the key here is Marvin Harrison is back. And what are we going to do there? Because Michael Wilson has just gotten an insane amount of target volume. Now we've gotten huge target volume from Trey McBride over the last few weeks, but that's been expected. What wasn't totally expected was just the sheer volume that Michael Wilson has gotten, and over 10 catches, over 100 yards. Can he do it again now with Marv back in the mix? That's the question. For me personally, I'm playing Marv. Like, if Brissett's going to throw it 50 times, I don't care if McBride and Wilson both get 15 targets. Like, you're still got 8 to 10 targets there for Marv. So whatever, I'm playing them all. I mean, even Greg Dortch still you could play. Yes, this has the potential for a shootout. Baker is back in. As for the Bucks running backs, Bucky is back, but he's supposed to be on a pitch count. So what are we going to do there? Well, Bucky, I would expect gets more work than Tucker and Rachaad White. It's going to be some kind of weird split. I'd guess it's about 45 to 50% Bucky, and then like 25% Tucker, 20%-ish Rachaad White. That's my guess, just from watching the Bucks and what's been going on over the last few weeks. And now that Bucky's back, I think they want to get him going. But if they happen to be in the lead in the fourth quarter, they might ride Sean Tucker. I don't know. I think it depends on the game flow. The Bucks need to win this game, so we'll see. All right. We've got a couple of questions here right away. Square Up asks, Ricky Pearsall, Brenton Strange, or Chimere DK this week? Whoo! All right. So we'll get into this with the next matchup, the Niners at the Browns. It is a bad weather game. I just got done snow throwing all over the place in my neighborhood. It is rough out there, as it is over in Cleveland, and winds are 40% or 40 miles an hour or more. I don't like playing any of the Niners passing game options here. I want to start McCaffrey, of course, but I'm not so keen on Pearsall, Juwan Jennings. Kittle, you probably have to play, but Purdy even, I mean, it depends. Superflex, you might have to play him. Lineup league, who knows? You might still have a quarterback hanging out from when he was hurt. I don't know what your situation is, but if I can, I'm sticking to just McCaffrey and or Judkins for this matchup as guys that I want to play, actually. The over-under has been reflected in that one. It's just at 35 now. Niners favored by 5. But yeah, it's going to be limited passing in that game. So try to avoid those players if at all possible. So Square Up. I'd knock Pearsall off the map for that one. Now, Brenton Strange or Chim DK. Look, I love Brenton Strange. He came back strong last week, but I mean, Io Manor is still questionable. We'll follow that. Ridley is out. Got to play DK here. I'm going with DK. Yeah, Strange could get volume, but Brian Thomas Jr. is now back, or at least supposed to play. We'll follow up on that as we get closer and it gets announced. But yeah, I'm going Chimere, ABC DK here. Get him in, Square Up. All right. Arian Shaw is back with another question this week. Pick 3 to start. Almost the same ones last week I had to choose from. You added somebody, though, this time. One of these guys was probably on a bye. Okay, so I got to pick 3 here. We got Woody, Alec Pierce, Parker Washington, Tyron Tracy, and Deebo Samuel. Okay, so Deebo's got McLaurin coming back against a tough matchup with Denver. Tyron Tracy, the Giants are tomorrow night at New England. Woody is at Indianapolis. Pierce is home against Houston. And Parker Washington is at Tennessee. Yeah, it's at Tennessee. That's the next one I'm going to get into. Okay, so let me see here. I'm going to go with I know Brian Thomas Jr. is back, but I still like Parker Washington. I'm going to go Parker Washington, Alec Pierce, and Woody Marks here. I think Woody's gotten enough volume there. They're going to try and work the run game for sure, but I think this game, Houston-Indy has the potential to sneakily get some points in it. Houston's defense is awesome. And so I don't know how well JT is going to be able to run against them, is my point. And same for Houston. Indy's run defense is solid as well. So I like Woody Marks over Tracy, and I don't love Debo this week with Mariota, Denver defense, McLaurin back. I don't know what kind of volume Debo is going to get. I think I just like the volume for Washington and Pierce to be a little bit higher than Debo's, I guess, is what I'm getting at. All right, there you go. Arian Shaw, thanks for the question. Next up, Thanos Heisenberg. Ladd or Quinshon here. Okay, McConkey or Judkins. So the Chargers take on why can't I remember? Yeah, they're at Carolina. And which is a tough pass defense sneakily, but they're missing their safety, Morig, who got suspended for punching Juwan Jennings in the junk last Monday night. So that hurts their defense a little bit. Quinshon, as I mentioned, is in that grind out game in Cleveland. I'm going to lean Ladd. I just like the Chargers offense to be in more scoring opportunities. They're both very close. If there's a point per carry or something like that, let me know. But otherwise, like straight up full PPR, I'm going Ladd. Thanks, Thanos. Next up, Frank Dukes, Frankie Dukes asks, PPR flex need one. Sutton, Tucker, Jaylen Warren, or Rico Dowdle. Okay. Oh, we got the early game inactives update here. Let's see here. Okay, nothing there yet. So I would definitely take Jaylen Warren over Sean Tucker. I would not, however, take them over Rico Dowdle. I think Dowdle has a good opportunity to get good rushing volume against that Chargers defense. Chargers defense is very good against the pass, but not so much against the run, if I remember right. Yes. So, and then you got Cortland Sutton, and he's just in a mix there with Denver. I don't know which wide receiver is going to have the biggest game. My bet would be Troy Franklin because he gets the most volume. But I'm going to go Rico Dowdle there for you, Frankie Dukes. Let it roll. Chargers are traveling all the way over to the East Coast. I don't know if they're going to be dominating that game as much as the odds suggest. They're favored by 10.5 with a 45 over under. So I don't know. I'm going to lean Rico Dowdle there for you. All right. So we talked about the Cleveland San Francisco game. Next up, we want to talk Jacksonville at Tennessee. Jacksonville favored by 6, over under 41.5. This is a possible very good game environment. Cam Ward's looked pretty good the last few weeks. The Jags like to get in these crazy up and down games where their defense gets a touchdown or Trevor Lawrence throws pick sixes. I mean, it's just, you can't count on Trevor Lawrence to just lead a solid, smooth, game managing type attack. And that's the problem with the Jaguars is you don't know what to expect week to week. Now they've been able to overcome that inconsistency and win games. And that's how they're 7-4 at the moment. And they should beat Tennessee. But as you can see, I mean, they're only favored by 6. against one of the worst teams in the league here. So there's a reason for that. I would fire up pretty much all my Jaguars. I mean, I told Arian to play Parker Washington. Brian Thomas Jr. is back. I just don't know what kind of limited capacity he's going to be in, or if he's going to be a full go. I don't know. Either way, I like Parker Washington's target volume that he should get. Cam Ward, you could start as a flyer. Like I said, he's been looking better lately, getting a good amount of pass volume in his end of game stats. And I mean, ever since Callahan got fired, he just looks more comfortable, and he's developing a good rapport with Chimdike. Okonkwo should be giving it a go. Gunnar Helms looked solid. So the run game is kind of meh, but against Jacksonville, you're going to want to be throwing it anyway. So I think that's where Chimere Dike is a good, solid flyer for sure. Elikayo Manor, we can check. He was leaning out as the most recent update I had looked at. Let me see here. Let me look at here. Nothing quite. Well, he's been. Yes, he's active. Here we go. Here's an update from Draft Sharks. Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Bam Knight, Chris Olave, as I would get to later, he is in. He had some back spasms earlier this week, but Chris Olave is in. Marvin Harrison, as I said, it was in. Elikayo Manor in. Tyler Warren, Darren Waller back from the IR, and Chig Okonkwo. I can say it real fast. If I try to enunciate it, it sucks. All right. Still, fire up DK. That's Chim Array DK. All right. So back to that Jacksonville, Tennessee game. Jacksonville is number 1 in the league against the run. So wheels down for Tony Pollard, but Tajay Spears should get a decent amount of targets out of the backfield, I think. But yeah, look for Cam Ward to be slinging it around the yard all day today, and we'll see what kind of success he has. I mean, Jacksonville, on the other hand, great matchup for everybody. Start ETN. You can start Tootin. I know that Tootin didn't get a great amount of volume last week, but that doesn't mean he won't get some this week. ETN obviously has looked great pretty much all season. He's been a pleasant surprise for any of his owners. The sort of consistency, really, that ETN has had over the season. But yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to play Tootin in this one. I could see him getting at least 10 carries this week. As you may remember, 2 weeks ago, before he had that ankle injury, he actually had out-carried ETN to that point. But being that Jacksonville is favored, should have good game script, should each get about 15 touches. So I like them both this week, both with a good chance to get in the end zone as well. All right, now moving along to the other matchup in the AFC South. We've got Houston traveling to Indy. This one could just about decide the division. I mean, if Indy wins this one, they'd have a 3-game lead. Houston wins this, they cut it to a 1-game margin. Indy is favored by 3.5, 44.5 over under. This one could sneakily go over. And reason being is these teams might have to throw more than they are used to. Big question mark there, though, is Daniel Jones's fibula injury. He's got a slight fracture in his fibula. And if you watched any of the highlights of him warming, like in practice this week, like I get it was practice, but he didn't look good dropping back. And I don't like that going up against a defense that literally just had 8 sacks on Josh Allen, let alone this is now Daniel Jones. So Houston's D could have a field day here if they're able to stuff Jonathan Taylor and then force the game into Daniel Jones's hands. That said, now I don't mind playing any of the Colts wide receivers. They had a rough go last week, but then this week, I think that Pierce can bounce back. I mean, 5 out of the last 6 weeks, Alec Pierce is gone. I mean, he's an average 90 yards. So I would go Alec Pierce. You could play Michael Pittman as well. Tyler Warren, like I said, if you've got him, you probably have to play him unless you were loaded at tight end for whatever reason. He's got an stomach illness, but he's going to give it a go. Let's see. As for Houston, Woody's a solid flex because he's going to get the volume. Nico is obviously playing. Stroud is back in, so if you've got to, go ahead and play Stroud. He's been up and down all season. I know I've got him in one league, and it's just rough. Thank God we traded for Burrow there. But anyway, Jaden Higgins is the key here. He's been increasing his target share recently, and so I would say he's a decent flex play as well this week. Again, kind of hard to see it going high scoring because these are both good defenses, but at the same time, because they may be forced to throw more, could see it going over. Next up, we've got another gross one. All the good games were on Thanksgiving and Friday. Like, there's a lot of gross games today, so don't expect fireworks out of your lineups from today's games. There's a lot of bad weather. There's just gross matchups. So just keep that in mind. You keep your expectations down. And, if that means go with floor plays, that means go with floor plays. This week as a whole, I just don't see it as very high scoring. You're not going to set the record this week for your league week high. All right. So next up, Saints at the Dolphins here. Yes, gross game. Dolphins favored by 5.5, 41.5 over under. Dolphins offense has been playing well here. Alvin Kamara is out for the Saints. That means Devin Neal gets his shot at the Saints backfield. And maybe for the future too, right? I mean, if he looks good, then the Saints don't have a reason to draft a running back higher than, they took Devin Neal, I think it was the 6th round. So this is Devin Neal's opportunity. Audric Estime is also there in the backfield. They had signed him after Denver cut him this year. Actually, I think he went somewhere else too. I think he was with the Eagles for a cup of coffee, but then ended up down in New Orleans. Anyway, Jalen Waddle is in. He had popped up on the injury report earlier this week with a foot issue coming out of a bye. That wasn't exactly great news, but now he's in. No worries there. Devon Achane is in an absolute hammer spot here. You're playing Achane no matter what. Anyway, the guy's gotten double-digit points every single week this year, at least. So an awesome floor play. Plus, he's got an opportunity to just smash this Saints defense. So Devin Neal to me is nothing more than a real flyer flex. I don't see New Orleans getting a huge rushing volume here. And Devin Neal didn't exactly look great last week. He had 7 carries for 18 yards, I think, in his opportunity after Kamara left. He did, however, have 7 catches. Now, I didn't scout him as a great receiving running back. Like, my best comp to him was David Montgomery. Montgomery's an all right receiver, but obviously, and he got catches when he was in Chicago, but obviously now with Gibbs in Detroit, he hasn't seen a whole lot of target volume. But Devin Neal, thing is I don't know who else is going to play. Like, I thought they'd scoop up somebody like Clyde Edwards-Helaire from the Chiefs practice squad, or Dameon Pierce, maybe. I don't know, but they didn't bring in anybody really. So Tim and Estime in the backfield today. Taysom Hill is the sneaky play here if you're desperate. He had like 10 rushing attempts last week. Once they get inside the 10, Taysom Hill could be the guy. And they're playing Miami here. Miami's looked good over the last few weeks. Like, they're still holding out hopes for a playoff run here. I don't know if I'm buying into it, but Miami's got the schedule to make it possibly happen. Their offense has been looking better. Jalen Waddle's establishing himself as the number one. Achane is smashing. Tua's staying upright. So, I mean, Miami should win this one and could win it going away like 27-10, something like that. But yeah, with Waddle's little foot issue, Malik Washington becomes a flyer for you. Darren Waller is back. I would definitely be firing him up anytime he is active. He is a start. You can start Chris Olave, as I mentioned. He's going to play, even though with the back spasms he had earlier this week. And Juwan Johnson should get his decent 6, 7, 8 targets again this week. Miami is 29th against the run. That's something to note. So the Saints will try to run it, but I'm sure Miami will try their best to stop it. Now, being Devin Neal, they might want to just lock down Chris Olave today and let Devin Neal get whatever. But again, Neal's not a terrible flex. Like, he's just a volume play. I don't expect him to get in the end zone. Like I said, Taysom Hill could get the goal line work there. I don't know. If you want 8 to 10 points, that's what you're looking at from Devin Neal. He might get more because he might get some catches again, but we'll see. Next up, we've got the Falcons traveling to New York to take on the Jets. Atlanta favored by 2.5, 39 over under. This is another bad weather game. There's an 80% chance of precipitation today during the game. So this leaves this game in the hands of Bijan Robinson versus Breece Hall. I don't think we want to see Tyrod Taylor versus Tyler Shook, right? So Tyler Shook, why did I say Kirk Cousins? I mean, still Kirk Cousins versus Tyrod Taylor is kind of an ugly matchup as well. Drake London's out. That means that the top receivers in this matchup are like Darnell Mooney and John Mechie. Mechie's looked good over the last couple of weeks. His volume's increased in every week here. He's been with the Jets 3 weeks, increased every week. A.D. Mitchell getting opportunity that he wasn't getting in Indy. Yeah, he's had some drops, but the talent is obvious there. So, and with Tyrod Taylor, you're not getting Jacoby Brissett type volume here, but it is more volume than you were getting with Justin Fields. So Mechie's a decent flyer flex. A.D. Mitchell, decent flyer flex. Mooney, decent flyer flex. I would start Kyle Pitts if he's your tight end for sure. And note, Atlanta is 26 against the run, so that opens it up for Breece Hall. They're 8th against the pass. So again, look for the Jets to try to establish Breece Hall here. It could be Breece versus Bijan in a showdown today in the Meadowlands. All right, next up, last noon game, 1 o'clock Eastern game. Rams traveling to Carolina, take on the Panthers. Rams favored by 10.5, 45 over under. Play all the Rams while Stafford is hot. I mean, he's on fire. Looks like the MVP right now. He is just lighting it up. I mean, he sliced and diced up the Bucs defense on Sunday night. The Panthers D, as I mentioned earlier, is without their starting safety because he got suspended a week. So that opens it up, makes it harder to defend. Not like they're playing with 10 guys now on defense, but still, their backup safety's in. And Kyron Williams will have a good shot at a solid game as well today. Now, I don't mind playing Rico Dowdle. He is going against the Rams run defense. So, yes, that's tough matchup there. But they're going to try and establish their run game. I mean, that's how they're going to win the game. If Carolina is going to win it, it's going to be on the back of Rico Dowdle. Bryce Young, probably not a great play today. Tet, you probably have to play if you have him. Coker is a very weak flyer this week, probably. I mean, he could get volume in the second half if they're down. You could see a lot of dump off underneath routes maybe to Coker. So it's possible. So I'll still call him a flyer flex for you. But yeah, that's all I got out of that game. Start all your Rams. Limit the Panthers that you start, unless you're deciding between, or was that Jalen Warren or Rico Dowdle? Yeah, I'll go Dowdle there. All right. Now for the late games today. We've got Minnesota traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 11.5, 41 over under here. Max Brosner getting the start for the Vikings. JJ McCarthy out with a concussion, soft benching. Who knows what it really is, but either way, it could not be any worse for the Vikings wide receivers. So we'll see what Max Brosner has here. I am not too confident. I mean, yes, I'm starting Jefferson, but Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, I don't know. We will see what Max Brosner has. Not the ideal first matchup for the rookie out of Minnesota. Yes, out of the University of Minnesota, now with the Minnesota Vikings. Brosner was just like he threw for 2,800 yards. He was a pro-style quarterback. So, but I mean, McCarthy's problem was like just completing the normal pass. His ADOT was the highest in the league, and that's part of why his completion percentage was so low. But even the underneath ones, he just wasn't getting. Jazz 2248 asks, nice to hear. Was trying to figure it out between Waddle and yeah, I would go Waddle in that matchup there against the Saints. Waddle's been looking great. I know he had one bad week since Tyreek went down, but otherwise Waddle has looked very good. Waddle could smash today. Tet, on the other hand, against the Rams, not an ideal matchup. I mean, yes, they may be forced to throw a lot, but I'm still going Waddle. I mean, it's close. But Jazz, yeah, go Waddle there. Back to Seattle. Seattle, start all your main guys. Kenneth Walker looking good over the last few weeks. He's increased his volume, getting a couple goal line opportunities, actually. I'm not saying that Charbs won't steal another one from him this week, but we'll see. Maybe he finally actually busts one and finishes it, takes it to the house. We'll see. Darnold and JSN, you got to start in this matchup. Minnesota, number 6 against the pass, number 23 against the run. So that leans Kenneth Walker. Sam Darnold, I mean, I guess depending on who your other quarterbacks are, super flex, you probably got to play him, but in a one quarterback league, not necessarily. So depends on who your other options would be. Shaheed, Kupp, total desperation flexes. I mean, these dudes are getting like a combined 5 targets outside of the volume that JSN is getting. So I cannot trust either of them, even as desperation flexes. It's just really hard to start Shaheed or Kupp, which is sad. I mean, I don't think that Kupp is completely washed. I just think that the volume isn't there. And then Shaheed, I mean, the dude can play, but with the pass volume so low, their second lowest in the league in pass volume is Seattle. Just can't start them. I mean, you're playing them on as a last-ditch desperation, honestly. Charbs, you could flex. I mean, put it this way. I'd feel more confident about starting Charbs in a desperation flex than Kupp or Shaheed, just because Charbs could go 2 carries for 4 yards and 1 touchdown. So, yeah, there you have it. Aaron Jones, decent flex. He'll probably get volume as they try to establish the run with the rookie quarterback getting his first action. Minnesota receivers, though, are complete question marks again. Yeah, start Jefferson because you have to start Jefferson, but Addison and Hawkinson, I leave on the bench. See what you get here. I mean, it's a bad matchup. Seattle's a great defense. It just doesn't look good. All right. I mean, you're totally going against the grain if you're starting either of those guys. And Seattle is number 4 against the run. So that doesn't help Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason here. Like, this is just not a good looking matchup here for the Vikings altogether. I don't want to make any predictions here of final scores, but it could get ugly. All right. Who's got some more start-sit questions for me? Throw them down there in the chat. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Moving along in the Sunday late games, we've got Buffalo traveling to Pittsburgh, take on the Steelers. Buffalo favored by 3 with a 45.5 over under here. This one might go under, actually. I just see the slugfest possibility. Now, Pittsburgh's defense has been up and down all year. I don't know if Allen's going to be able to get deep on them, going downfield. James Cook should be able to run on them, but we'll see if he can establish the run. I'm sure Pittsburgh's going to try and stuff it. Aaron Rodgers is in, but Buffalo is number 1 against the pass, yet 30th against the run. So we're looking at a Jaylen Warren, Kenny Gainwell game here. Who's I going to compare it to? Pretty similar to what Jacksonville does with Etienne and Tootin. That's kind of what we got going on here with Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell, who's been a obvious pleasant surprise for any Kenny Gainwell owners, but can't deny what the guy's been doing. So, yeah, I think it's unfortunate for the Jaylen Warren owners who were thinking that they were going to get this near bell cow type work, but now you're getting anywhere between 10 to 15 touches for each of these guys. They're sort of playing the hot hand. Last week, Gainwell got screwed out of a touchdown because he got knocked out at the 1 on like a 60-yard run. And then Jaylen Warren got to bang it in. But we'll see. That's what I expect from the Steelers. DK Metcalf was questionable. He is playing. No worries there. Again, Aaron Rodgers playing with that broken wrist. He's going to give it a go today. So we'll see. It should be interesting. But, the main storyline here is, can the Steelers establish their run with Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell against that porous Bills defense? And that doesn't matter even on the other side. Like, when Tampa took on the Bills, we ran all over them, but our defense couldn't stop them. I think Pittsburgh's defense is better than Tampa's, though, so I think they can stop the downfield throw a little better. We'll see. But that should be a great game for the afternoon slate. Then we've got AFC West matchup, the Raiders heading to LA to take on the Chargers. Chargers favored by 10 with an over-under of 41 here. Omarion Hampton still out, looks to be back next week. Herbert's going to be slinging it around this game. Kamani Vidal, you can flex him, I guess. You're going to be starting Genty and Bowers for the Raiders. But, the Chargers are number 4 against the pass. So this means it's a game where Genty could try and get established. Now, the Raiders' offensive line kind of prevents that from happening. But, they're going to try and make it happen. Excuse me. I was very congested earlier this week. I really wanted to do this start sit show for you on Thanksgiving morning, but they had things going on and this just massive congestion, which leads me to give you a little disclaimer. Next week, week 14, heading into the big games, which should be the last week of most of your regular seasons or even the beginning of the playoffs maybe, but most of us last week of the regular season, I'll be doing start sit on Thursday, right before the Thursday night game for you all. So yeah, get ready, buckle up for that hour or so before next Thursday night's game. I can help you get your start sit decisions done then. All right. Anyway, back to the Raiders Chargers. Yes, this is a pretty obvious game script. You'd think that it would be Raiders getting smoked, Chargers running the ball, but with Kamani Vidal and a bad offensive line, I think the Chargers and Justin Herbert are still just going to have to keep slinging it, and that could lead to a lot of short passes. Either way, it's good for Ladd, even Keenan Allen, Rondé Gadsden, all of those guys. We'll see how Vidal can run the ball on this Raiders defense. All right. Moving on to tonight's action. We've got the Broncos heading to the nation's capital to take on the Commanders. Broncos favored by 5.5, 43.5 over under. Marcus Mariota still getting the start for the Commanders. With Jaden Daniels out, he should be back next week. Now, can Bo Nix get out of this funk? As I said earlier, he's been targeting Troy Franklin the most of the Broncos wide receivers. I'm not all in on Courtland Sutton this week, but he could have a decent matchup. The main thing here is that RJ Harvey's got a smash opportunity. However, I don't know how much Sean Payton's going to take away from him with Jaleel McLaughlin, with Tyler Batty. Who knows? So, yeah, start Harvey, though, with confidence, I think. This could be a 1 to 2 touchdown game for him. This is his big opportunity right here. It's a bad Commanders rush defense. This is the type of game where if we're going to have any confidence in this guy going forward, this is a game where, he gets 15 carries, 80 some yards, gets in the end zone once or twice, or catches one for a touchdown. We want to see 15 plus touches here from Harvey and some production. That's what we're looking for. Dra Phoenix asks, should I start Baker over Darnold or T-Law? Starting Tracy over Gadsden, Fannin, and Terry. PPR, tight end premium, half point. Okay. So, I don't know if I love starting Tracy over Gadsden. That'd be the one that I question slightly there. But Tracy has been getting tons of volume. If you want to play him, I don't hate it. It's very close. But I just think that Singletary's been stealing the goal line looks kind of. So you're just banking on volume between the 20s there with Tyron Tracy, whereas Gadsden has a kind of a pretty safe floor, actually, and then the opportunity to get in the end zone himself. So, and again, I don't know that I feel all that safe about the Chargers running game right now. So they probably will be passing more than you think, even against the Raiders. Back to the quarterback. That is one of those situations where, man, is this a one quarterback league and you have all three of those quarterbacks on your roster? So you got T-Law against Tennessee, Darnold against Minnesota, and Baker against Arizona. Super flex. Okay. All right. Thanks. And then who's your, I'm guessing you got a stud as your top quarterback then. Do you have any other receivers in your starting lineup that correlate? Like, do you have a stack going with any of those three wide receivers? Because honestly, that could be the decision maker for me. All three of these guys have good matchups. Darnold's playing the best of the three. Amon-Ra, Puka, and Nico. Okay. All right. So Minnesota's a little stronger against the pass. I don't know that I buy into Darnold having to have much volume. God, like Trevor Lawrence is not a guy that I want to tell people to have to start. It just sounds so gross. Let me look at my rankings, what I had going into the week. I had T-Law and Darnold back-to-back at 14-15. Baker a little bit lower, of course, because of the injury. So I guess with the injury concern, I'd probably drop Baker out of there and then leave it to Darnold and T-Law. If you need to go ceiling, I'd risk it with Trevor Lawrence. There you go. All right. It's a volume thing. Like Darnold's playing better, but it is a volume thing here. And he's got Brian Thomas coming back. So, he's got every weapon at his disposal here. The only concern is with both of these guys is that the second half of these games, they're just slamming it down their opponent's throat, handing it off. I guess you could say that with Tampa as well. All right, I'm going to go T-Law. Good luck, Draft Phoenix. That's a real tough decision today. But T-Law's got his full weapons at his disposal. Brenton Strange back, Brian Thomas Jr. back. Now he's got Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, both running backs healthy. Like, this is an offense that should be able to explode. And, I mean, if you've watched any Jacksonville games, it's not like Liam Cohen doesn't know what he's doing. There are receivers running all over the place wide open. He's scheming them well. And it's just down to T-Law making it happen. And by default, he's still getting points because they're just it's a good offensive scheme. So, yeah, roll with T-Law on that one. I like that game environment, I guess, with the Titans to potentially be a shootout type more so than Minnesota-Seattle. Like, Minnesota-Seattle could get really ugly and just be like 21-3 Seattle, right? The Titans-Jags game, though, that could be one where somebody gets into the 30s and the other team is in the 20s, right? So, yeah, I could see that happening there in that one. All right, Draft Phoenix. Hopefully that works out for you. Here we go. All right, we got one last game to talk about. I didn't finish on the Denver-Washington game. Sorry. Denver-Washington, talked about the receivers. Franklin would be my best play at the wide receivers, Sutton, and even Pat Bryant as flyer flexes. Harvey's got a smash opportunity this week. Jaleel McLaughlin, super flyer flex, super deep league. Chris Rodriguez for Washington. Basically their lead back right now. Bill has just not gotten it done. And this is not a matchup where he's going to all of a sudden break through and start to get it done. If anything, Chris Rodriguez is going to see some decent volume in the passing game here. Zach Ertz, flyer for you. He's looking to pass somebody on the tight end. It's Shannon Sharp on the tight end list. So expect them to try and force feed him a little early on to get those 2 catches that he needs for that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't love him just because I've looked at his totals with Marcus Mariota at the helm, and he hasn't gotten to 10 points. So we'll see. Denver, though, is number 3 against the run, number 5 against the pass, so it really might not matter for Washington. Washington, however, is 28th against the run. As I mentioned, that's why it's a smash opportunity for RJ Harvey. Then finally, we've got the Monday night game. Giants traveling to New England. Jackson Dart is back. That means our favorite, Jameis Winston, back to the bench, unfortunately. Maybe he'll come out and play tight end. Who knows? Jackson Dart, though, getting the start. I like it. They're probably going to be trailing, so he's going to be throwing all over the place. I think Wan'Dale will play. He's got a little ankle issue. Darius Slayton, hammy, though. That's a little more iffy. But, yeah, fire up Wan'Dale. Fire up Theo Johnson. Tyron Tracy, I don't mind. Again, I prefer Gadsden, but if you're going with Tracy, go ahead. Then you've got the New England Patriots. Drake May, fire him up. Stephon Diggs, good bounce back opportunity here. Hendo, I love Hendo. Go with him. He got the key there last week. I think he out-touched Ramondre in carries. I think it was 18-6. So that's good news looking forward for Hendo. So fire him up for sure. Hunter Henry, it's a solid matchup. So he could, I don't know if he's going to get the volume he got against the Bengals last week, but always an opportunity for a touchdown here. And that's what you're looking for with Hunter Henry. Probably the number 2 target, I guess. I've always been pumping him as the number 1 target because him and Drake May are best friends. So I don't know. Stephon Diggs, though, has somehow worked his way into that little breakfast nook, right? All right. Any other questions? Go ahead, fire away here. Jazz. Oh, I looked over that. I overlooked that one. I apologize, Jazz. Have Ken Walker penciled in. Woody, Gainwell, or Tracy any more appealing? No, I'll go with Ken Walker. Call me prideful, but I've got Ken Walker on a few teams, and this is the week. This is the week. He busts one, gets in the end zone. Now, the other guys don't have such great matchups. Okay, Gainwell has a good matchup against the Bills, but he is in way more of a split with Jaylen Warren than Ken Walker is with Charbonnet. Like, Walker's gotten over 60% of the volume the last couple of weeks because he's looking really good, and it's a good matchup. So I think you got to just stick to your guns. I know why you're asking. We're all worried about Sharps, but nah. It's going to happen. Ken Walker. We're going to put him up he's going to be up on the Sunday Night Rewind. 2 bombs. 2 house calls, right? Let's do it, Kenny. All right. There you go, Jazz. I'm going Ken Walker. You can yell at me later on the Rewind if you'd want. Speaking of the Rewind, we'll be doing the Sunday Night Rewind. Week 13 recaps tonight at around 6:30, 7:30 Eastern time, somewhere near the very end of the 3/4 o'clock Eastern games, and get you rolling right into the Sunday night action, Denver at Washington. So check that out. That'll be later tonight, obviously. And then Tuesday morning, we'll release our week 14. Yes, that's week 14 waiver wire. So we'll see what happens from today's action and get you out some good waiver possibilities there for your leagues. Again, next week, Mike and Nate, they'll have their video that'll be released Thursday morning. I'll be doing the Thursday start sit show. So this show will be on Thursday night next week prior to the Thursday night game. I don't know which game that is. Let's see here. What game am I going to be trying to hype up? Hopefully it's a good one. Never know what we get with these Thursday night games. It's sort of a crapshoot. Let's see here. Why can't I get to the... There we go. Next week, it is Cowboys-Lions. All right, we got a good one. That's an exciting matchup. Cowboys-Lions for sure. Can do that. So, yes, next Thursday, we'll start doing the start-sit shows on Thursday nights. And hopefully that helps you get ready for your week. I know that we won't have the full injury update, but hopefully this might help you leading into your weekend and see your teams better and be able to be more confident in your lineups rather than worrying about them Sunday morning last minute. These are obviously, I mean, not just this is week 13, but week 14, last week of your regular season, and then heading into the playoffs. Week 15, we're going to do the same thing for you. So yeah, hopefully that gets you more W's and gets you to advance in your fantasy playoffs, because that's what we want to do here is win, get better, and dominate. All right. Any more questions? Any more start-sit questions? I'm going to try and check the injury updates real quick here. See if there's any other concerns. Late scratches. I think we hit up all of the possibilities. Eric Iomanner is in. Okonkwo is in. Let's see here. This is old. Nope, that's it. We got all of them. No crazy late scratches yet. So that's good. That is good news. All right. Had a question about Pearsall or Vidal in a flex, but I guess start Vidal with possible weather in Cleveland. Absolutely, Jello. That would be my call. You've got the possibility of Vidal having a decent matchup here against the Raiders. You could see some volume for him. Could sneak into the end zone at least once. And then, yeah, with the weather in Cleveland, I'm just avoiding it if I can. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Pearsall sucks or anything like that. He's working his way back into getting targets. But, you know, I don't other than dump offs to McCaffrey, I don't know how much Purdy's going to be slinging it downfield. And I don't know how much Shanahan wants him slinging it downfield into this Cleveland defense. Like, Cleveland's probably a better defense than Carolina. And I mean, Carolina's a decent pass defense, but the Browns are even better. Then you add the weather and the fact Purdy threw 3 picks last week. Like, they're going to be riding McCaffrey and Brian Robinson this week. I mean, B-Rob might even be a sneaky flex play. Well, he is a sneaky flex play. But yeah, I would. You got it. 1, 2, 3, 4 Jello. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 Jello. Go with Vidal. Last opportunity to cash out on Vidal before Omarion Hampton comes back next week. You go with him. All right. I think that's all we've got here. Again, join us for the Sunday night rewind this evening following the 4 o'clock games. Yes, look to start your Niners after the bye, Jello. You bet. You got it. Good luck today. All right. So, yeah, join me for the rewind. Again, next week it will be Thursday night for the start sit. And as for Dynasty Rewind, that's all we've got for you today. Good luck, folks, and remember to never stop working.